from Coach Van Horn, and then have questions for the student athletes, dismiss them, and then have questions for Coach Van Horn. Coach, go ahead.
Well, first I'd like to, just congratulate Ole Miss on a great season. One of the scariest lineups to sit in the dugout and try to maneuver through. I know these pitchers feel that way, and that was an incredible recruiting class they brought in 3 years ago that won a bunch of games, and feel very fortunate that we came out and we got things going our way. They punched one in on us early. Cody came in and did a tremendous job getting that third out in the second inning. And I think it really, the difference down one compared to maybe three if they get a base hit was huge. And then obviously us coming in and Heston hit a ball down the left field line. It was kind of sliced and it was kind of in and out of the glove, dropped. We got a leadoff double there. We ended up scoring a run, big two-strike hit by Jacob Nesbitt. But then for Trevor, he's able to come through with that really good at bat, runner at second and third. We got a 2-1 lead at the time, and fouled off a couple of pitches. I think the count was 2-2, and then he got a changeup down and he slapped it in the 4-hole. And all of a sudden we're at 4-1. Man, you could just really feel the momentum switch to us. Cody goes out, throwing the ball really well, and then he did it again and again and again. I mean, Cody was the MVP of the game. I mean, without him, we might not win that game. That was an incredible gutsy outing. Kind of reminded me the way he threw at the beginning of the season when he pitched against USC on the road. First time on the road, we didn't know what we were going to get, how we were going to play, and he settled it down, and it was great. But what a great win for our program, for the state, university. I mean, I could go on and on, the fans. For us to get back to Omaha for the second year in a row. It's hard enough just to get there once every now and then, but to get there 2 years in a row with a bunch of guys that watched on the side last year or maybe weren't even with us. And in the case of Jacob Nesbitt, I mean, he didn't even make the travel squad. He was playing summer ball right now. And, today he gets a big double, makes a great diving play to end the game. I mean, what a thrill for me as a coach, to be a part of this, to watch these guys celebrate and the joy. It's like I told them at the beginning, the pressure for me is during the season. This is fun for me. I've been to Omaha. I love going to Omaha. But I really, really, truly mean it when I want them to get there, and I just kind of want to go with them. And it was an incredible ride, journey, whatever you want to call it this season. And, win or lose, it's going to finish in Omaha, and that's where you want to finish.
All right, raise your hand. We'll get a mic to you for questions for the student athletes. Nate?
I guess, Cody, just kind of what was your what was your thinking when, you were right in, first when you were warming up, even as, Wicklander was struggling, and then, being brought into the game?
Yeah, I mean, we knew going into this game was just kind of all hands on deck for both teams. I mean, pitching was depleted, and so, I just kind of knew all hands on deck and just getting warmed up. I mean, I knew it was my time, and I came in the second inning. He just told me the count and said, go get him, and that's what I did.
Cody, getting that third out in that inning, how much, confidence did that give you coming back in and then building on that the rest of the way?
I mean, it felt good because, usually I struggle with my fastball to righties, and the strike and a count on the fastball to a righty gave my confidence a really big boost, and going on to the next inning felt great.
Cody, you hadn't been stretched out like this for quite a while, maybe the Bama game. What did it feel like to throw that many innings and be such an integral part of what you did today?
It felt great. About the second inning, I knew I had control of all three pitches to both lefties and righties, and I knew it was going to be really fun for me today, and that's what happened.
Bob?
I guess for Casey and Heston, we've asked you about this a lot about Ole Miss. It had your all's number. I think they'd won the last 3 series, and just how good was it to win a Game 3 against them, to win a series? Because obviously this is the biggest series Arkansas has ever had against Ole Miss. Just how good did that feel, and especially to win so decisively?
Felt awesome, honestly. Anytime you can go to Omaha, phenomenal. What you got, Heston?
Retweet what he said. It's just awesome to win that Game 3 and send us back to Omaha this year. It's been a fun year with all the guys, and it's taken everybody on the team, the whole roster. Everybody's contributed, and that's why we're a team. It took a team effort, and just excited to get back to Omaha.
Drew?
Casey, just the production from the bottom part of the order today, yourself, but also Jacob Nesbitt, and Coach mentioned that critical hit there in the second from Nesbitt, and the hitter's count he had at that point actually wasn't a hitter's count, but it was just a big hit for him. But obviously the fact you guys scored in 5 consecutive innings today as well, just kind of a two-parter on that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we had 2 or 3 really good 2-strike hits. Honestly, it was good to see, especially me and Nesbitt kind of getting in there and kind of keeping something going. And then you had Azell come up in that inning and just come through with the biggest hit of the game, honestly. And then, you could kind of tell that we were clicking throughout the lineup. And when we do that, we're something special because everyone's kind of contributing and it's hard to pitch to us.
Nate?
Casey, just kind of what was your thinking when they brought Cody in and just his effect on the game?
Yeah, very confident when Cody came in. He's got really good stuff. I knew he was ready for that kind of moment, and I could tell from him just warming up that he had his stuff that day and he was going to be something special.
Chip?
Heston, being on the team last year and the way that you guys lost in the College World Series, how much of a motivation was that for you guys this year? Was it something that you talk about? Is it something that you don't talk about? Is it something that how did you turn the page, and did you guys just kind of use that all year long as motivation?
It came up from time to time. It left a little bit of a bitter taste in our mouth, but there's also guys that on the team that have contributed to get us back to Omaha. They weren't even a part of that moment, and they didn't know what it felt like. So it was kind of a little different for the guys that have been there and the guys that didn't. But at the end of the day, we're just focused on this season. We kind of turned the page over last year, and we just wanted to get back again.
Matt?
Seems like a lot of times at this time of the year in the Super Regional, the teams that have been through this before are the teams that win. I wonder, all 3 of you were on the team last year. How much going through this same scenario last year, Game 3 of a Super Regional against South Carolina, do you think helped you for the game today?
It was big. Just playing in the SEC, you're ready for these kind of moments, and you can kind of tell especially with there's a lot of SEC teams in these supers. It's just when you go through that grind in the regular season, you're ready for these kind of moments. You're ready for these tough games, and we proved that right today.
Any more questions for the student athletes?
His out pitch, what was he getting guys with today?
His fastball and his slider and his changeup. All 3 of his pitches.
Good stuff.
Bob?
I had one each for Heston and Casey. Heston, I don't know if you knew this, but you were like 4 for 27 against Ole Miss in the first 7 games. Obviously, you did a whole lot better today. Were you aware of that, and what was different about today?
Yeah, I didn't know that. I don't normally crunch numbers on the guys I face. I just came to the ballpark and wanted to help our team get back to Omaha, and I wanted to do it however I could. And it's just great we got to win today.
And Casey, the bullpen, obviously through 7 2/3 or 7 1/3, whatever it is. I'm not good at math, but they didn't give up any runs. What do you think of the bullpen, the whole bullpen today?
Phenomenal, like it's been all year. Every guy that came in, Wicklander even, he gave us what he could. He looked good, and it was just time to go to Cody in that situation. And then Costi was lights out, and then Cronin obviously coming in. It's just, you give us a lead towards the end of the game, we're really confident in what we can do with that bullpen.
Especially 13-run lead.
Yeah, that helps.
Fellas, thank you for your time. Congrats. All right, same thing for Coach Van Horn. Raise your hand, and we'll get a mic to you. Nate?
Dave, just what was the hunch on going with Scroggins at the time, and would you, if it was a regular season game, do you stick with Wicklander, longer than you did?
Well, depending on what, obviously the situation of the game, if it's early in the season, we'd have stuck with him, obviously. But, just as offensive as Ole Miss is, we just didn't want this thing to get crazy. They got all those big hitters. The wind's blowing out to right. They got a left-handed hitter, left-handed power. We just felt like we were going to have to score some runs today. And, we had 4 or 5 guys circled on the lineup card that we were going to go to, and Cody was the guy that we were going to go to first for longer relief. Obviously I was hoping that we'd get 3 to 4 innings out of Wicklander, but we got 4 outs. 5 outs, and it's just, you don't want to do it. But when I took the ball from him, I said, get ready for next weekend. That's what I told him. I didn't want to – I know he's already bummed out. Just give him a little bit of hope, and, hopefully he'll get to pitch.
Dave, a guy you recruited as a middle infielder,
Yep.
converted to pitcher. In your long career, how many success stories like that have you had?
He's the best one. I saw Cody pitch in high school. Saw him play short one game, pitch a little bit in the next, and signed him number one as a position player. Real athletic. He's a really good football player. Almost single-handedly won the state championship football game for his high school team. I think he ran back a punt for a touchdown, intercepted a pass in the end zone, caught a touchdown pass, and they won by 6 points. Just like the athleticism, the conversation we had one day when we were doing some infield drills is I just loved his arm. He could really throw, and we talked about it, and he wasn't getting to play. And I said, I saw you pitch in high school. I think you might be able to help us on the mound a little bit, and brought up a couple examples of some pitchers in the big leagues that are his size and that were athletes, played shortstop, kind of excited him a little bit. He threw a bullpen that evening. After practice, he threw 20 pitches. He threw 18 strikes. And we were like, wow. And kind of went from there, became a pitcher. Obviously, the next year, at the beginning of the year, he pops his elbow, and he was looking good. So here we go, rehab a year, and now it's another year. And if he stays healthy, he may pitch for a long time because he's got really good stuff. But that's a good story.
Matt?
Dave, what was the feeling around the clubhouse as you were leading up to the game today? Could you sense that they were going to play as loose as they did?
Yeah, I felt good about the way, we left it in the outfield, that we didn't play good yesterday after the game when we talked with them. I said we didn't make any errors, but we made 3 mental errors or 3 physical errors that pretty much cost us 5 or 6 runs and a chance to get back in the game, and told them just to move on. Talked a little bit about how to handle some pressure, and tomorrow wasn't pressure. I talked about, what pressure was. I gave him just a quick little story about, and I said, that's what pressure is. This is fun. This is just baseball. And tomorrow's our day. We're going to be fine, and go do what you do. We'll see you tomorrow. And I felt like today, running around the clubhouse, somebody brought 4 dozen monster boxes of donuts were in there. I don't know who brought them. I didn't. We already had breakfast, and they were just loose, I feel like that they felt like that we were going to win, and they'd been here before, and no reason to get all uptight. And, it's kind of one of those years where, last year was a lot of expectation. This year, not so much. Maybe more in the locker room than anywhere else. And, they handled it really well.
Chip?
Coach, I've been working with Bob. He's been telling me how to handle a press conference, so this is so many questions for me. But
okay.
4 teams from the SEC, 3 from the West in the College World Series. What does this say about the SEC as a whole?
Well, it's the same every year. It's a great league. A lot of kids want to play in this league. A lot of kids that, will turn down money from professional baseball to come play in this league, and it gets you ready for the next step. And there's kids that turn down money and come to this league and they don't have success because it will eat you up. And it was really deep. The West was really deep this year, and the East was pretty deep as well. It was an older league, in my opinion, for the most part. Physical league, and the starting pitching in the league was incredible. We got a guy that's 12-1. He can't even make second team, first team in our league. So I won't go on that anymore. But it's just a great league, and it does prepare you, as the player said, for postseason.
Tom?
Cody hadn't pitched more than 4+ in, I think, Bama game, so it's been a while. Did you feel like he had a lot in him, and his arm's still really lively, and could you anticipate a performance like this?
He'd been having a little bit of soreness. His soreness was sticking around a little longer, and it's not on the elbow or the shoulder. It was in the bicep. It's just kind of the way it was. He never really could get it right, and he felt really good. They'd been building up his bullpens, throwing more pitches in his bullpens where we felt like we could get maybe 70 pitches out of him, what we got today. We scored 5 runs in that inning. We were going to let him go out and maybe try to get an out or 2. But then when we scored 5, Coach Hobbs and I just said, let's go with Jacob. And get Cody ready for the next game.
Eric?
Coach Van Horn, you remember a super regional with, 3 blowout games like this?
No, never have. Usually it's nail biters and a little more drama. For game 1, we played almost a perfect game. Hit, pitched, fielded everything. Game 2, we couldn't get out of our own way, didn't do anything right, and then today we played pretty flawless. I mean, even the double play with the pitcher cover and first base makes a nice play in the hole. I mean, we end the game with a diving play down the third base line. He didn't have to dive. The guy wanted it. I mean, it was just a great play, and we played almost a perfect game today.
Eric?
Coach, how important was it for you to get the bottom of your lineup going today?
It's always important for the bottom to contribute somehow, some way, because the bottom is not powerful. It's more of a manufacturer type part of the offense. Just it's what we are this year with what we have, our personnel, and for them to come up with some big hits and drive-in runs down there, score runs. Even Franklin, who's he's not in a good way at the plate, obviously. For him to walk, steal a bag, and end up scoring a run, that was even that helped. So the other guys they're just a mistake or two away from us hitting it in the gap or hitting it out of the park a little more often in the top of the order. But when the bottom of the order is scoring runs and driving in runs, that's a good thing.
Matt?
When you get to Omaha, you're going to play Florida State, and Mike Martin's a big story right now. You've faced him before. What are your thoughts on him and facing his team again?
Well, my thoughts on him are he's just he's a great coach. He's a role model for student athletes. His players love him. I mean, no one will ever match what he's done. Coaches aren't going to get to coach this long at one place anymore. You just don't see that anymore. 40 years in a row, I think he's been to the tournament. He almost didn't make it this year. They were preseason ranked top 10 in every poll. They have a powerful team. Just didn't go good. It's a funny thing about this game. Injuries, guys in slumps, mental things, just little things. But he's a winner. And, I'm happy that he made it back to Omaha in his last year. And, I sent him a note 2 days before the season. I sent him a long text, tell him how much I appreciate him, wishing him good luck, and hopefully he has a great last season. And he sent me a nice note back, and now we get to play each other. So I'm excited to shake his hand.
Hayden?
Coach, just Trevor Ezell, the way he hit the ball this super regional, it just seemed like they couldn't get him out. Just his story, just being able to get
The
here.
man's on a mission. He wanted to go to Omaha, and he's a really good player. So happy for him, his family. He was our biggest recruit in the summer. I mean, I remember sitting in Omaha for 2 weeks, calling him like every other day, saying, "Don't do anything. We're here." And during that time, he visited a couple other schools, and it was huge when he committed here, and just really happy for him that he's going to finish his college career, up there.
Dudley?
Obviously, recruiting is lifeblood of any program, but when you have to do it on 11.7 scholarships, can you speak to your philosophy on that and maybe how tough that is to manage?
Well, 11.7 is tough, and sometimes you can't get everybody you want, and they end up on other teams you play, and people wonder why you can't get them, and because you offer them less than somebody else, and they call you and say, "I want to go there, but they're offering me this," and we say we can't, and then they go somewhere else. It happens all the time. The philosophy is you're going to put a lot of money in pitching. You're going to try to be good through the middle. You got to get lucky. Guys got to develop. You got to get some guys on the minimum scholarship, which is 25%, and you got to hope that they have a little bit of an edge because they're not on as much as somebody else. You got to get some academic guys that are on academic only. I could go on and on just to piece it together. And then when they all get here, you tell them, I don't care how you got here, and I don't care if you're on a scholarship, if you're a walk-on or a recruited walk-on, if you're the best player you're going to play, we don't care. And then you got to go back that up and do that, and we do it every year. And that's why guys like Jacob Nesbitt come out of nowhere and fight to get back on. And, academic guys, we got a lot of those guys. We got 4 or 5 guys contributing big time that are on any athletic aid, and that's how you survive.
Grant?
Coach Bianco mentioned that your team has all the parts. Part of that is defense. You've already talked about the defense, but no errors in 3 games for a team that didn't really rank high during the season. How big is that going into the CWS?
Well, it's a big ballpark. If it's warm, usually the wind's going to blow in from right field. So you've got to be able to field the baseball and throw strikes and try to find a way to chip away and get some runs. If the wind's out of the west or the north, the ballpark sits exactly like ours, but it plays bigger. But if you have the right temperature and weather or wind blowing out, I mean, it can be lively. But when the farther along you get in any tournament, because this is just a big tournament and there's 8 teams left, everything matters because you're down to the end. And we did play really good defense game 1, game 2, game 3. Game 2 we didn't play good defense. We didn't make any errors on the scoreboard. We didn't turn 2 double plays, and we didn't get over to cover first base, and that would have been the last out. There's just little things that add up. So we need to make sure that we do a good job.
Bob?
I've had a couple I've been waiting. These other guys have been jumping ahead of me. You said you told the players, this isn't pressure, this is pressure. What did you tell them real pressure is?
Well, what would be pressure to you?
Probably getting laid off.
Exactly, and that's what I talked about. I said pressure, really, what's pressure? That would probably be having 2 car payments, a house payment, a wife and 3 kids, and having to come home and tell her you just lost your job. That's pressure. I said, this isn't pressure. This is fun. That was a good answer. You won. Jeopardy, whatever.
That is good. And then this is going to be your 8th trip to the College World Series. I guess the only guy that's got more is the guy you're playing. Just how do you feel about that?
Wow, that's a lot. I don't know. I'm just hadn't really sunk in yet, to be honest with you. Just proud of all the teams that have fought to get there over the years. There's a couple of those teams that, maybe 3 of them, that beginning of the year we just wanted to make sure we get to a regional, fighting to do that. But then they just kept winning because they played for each other. They played hard, and this team is talented enough to do some damage up there if we play good. This is a team that, from about the middle of the season on, behind closed doors, we thought, hey, I think we're a little better than we thought, and the players are getting better. And they believe, and they seem to really like each other, and they play hard. And I think about that second game of that doubleheader against Auburn. What a fight that was! Letting that first game slip away, losing that game, and then almost losing the second game. We end up winning that thing in extra innings, and then we got after them. The third game and won that series on the road. I thought we were going to be a team to be reckoned with, and the players proved me right.
You had some, really good players back like Heston and Casey, but you had to replace 6 guys in your lineup, your top 2 starters, and here you are back at Omaha. I mean, just how satisfying is that?
How satisfying is it? Man, it's unbelievable. I mean, it's why you coach. It's why people love sports. Gets you away from the real world a little bit. It's just amazing what you can do with a little bit of hard work and a little bit of luck and a bunch of guys that believe. I mean, it's really gratifying. I mean, this has been an amazing season. I told the team that this has been and I think I might have used that big word, gratifying. One of the most gratifying seasons I've ever had as a coach, because we weren't expected to do much. We were picked 4th or 5th in the West, and the West is really good. I didn't feel like it was a slap in the face or, people didn't respect us. I didn't think we'd be preseason ranked in the top 20. I've said this 10 times this year, told the team that at the last team meeting in December, and then we got ranked in every poll. I just think, and I thought, well, maybe they're just doing that because we finished pretty good last year. But we backed it up a little bit. Sometimes those guys, sometimes those riders know more than I give them credit for. So I don't know, but just really proud of this team. It's been fun. I'm glad we're still playing. We get to hang out together for another couple weeks.
Matt?
This is the first time the program's ever been to the World Series in consecutive years. You've had some teams that have come close, like 2010 you were in the Super Regional, and maybe some teams that were talented enough too. What was different about this team that they were able to accomplish that?
Well, you know, the 2010 team, we went in 09, and 2010 we had to go, I think that's when we went to Tempe, Arizona, and lost two 12-inning games. Things didn't go our way. We didn't get any calls. I mean, it was amazing. And we lost 2 one-run games, both in extra innings. That was tough. The difference I don't really know the difference. The difference is maybe we had a little better bullpen. Nobody got hurt. I mean, we don't. I play the same team, same lineup just about every day, even when guys are struggling because it's a defensive thing. I only have 4 extra position players that I put on the travel squad. You know, the rest are pitchers. I take 13 pitchers and 13 position players, 14 pitchers, and it's been that way pretty much all year. But we've been very fortunate that we haven't lost anybody for an extended period. We've lost a few pitchers, but you know, just you learn how to win sometimes. You know, and you know, we won in 09, we won in 10. We just didn't finish it, but you know, it's sometimes you just have, it's about personality. It's what are these guys made of? You know, they want to stick together. They want to go play pro ball. You know, a lot of them are drafted already. These guys, they kept fighting. They want to keep playing.
Any more questions for Coach Van Horn? Coach, thank you. Congrats.
Thank you.